What's going on there, guys? Good evening, Earthmaster here on the live stream with an update video on this Wednesday evening, January 12th, 2022 is the date. About 6:36 p.m. California time. Latest quake, a 4.9 earthquake down there in the wow, off the coast of the South America region. Let's go ahead and check out some of that activity out here on the latest USGS map. You can see that earthquake way down here. Could have swore this one up here in Alaska was the most recent one, but this one must have just popped up. We're on the East Pacific Rise, Easter Island area. Of course, South America sits well over here to the east. A little bit of movement along the subduction zone here of the Peru-Chile Trench. Nothing significant, but a little bit of activity over the last 24 hours. Also, the one of the latest quakes here in the Aleutian Trench area. This earthquake sitting off to the west of the kind of like the earthquake activity we've seen over the last couple days. Man, let's see here. I want to show you guys real quick on the 7 days all magnitudes here. Of course, we had that 6.8, 6.6, and a bunch of other earthquakes here around the Fox Islands of the Aleutian Trench. We have seen, and that is kind of confirming my what I had mentioned about the accumulated stress here being pushed to the west. Still seeing quite a bit of movement, at least here on the map. Another 5.1 west of this area, but kind of where we're expected to see further pressure due to the plate dynamics here with a northwest type of trend to it, if you will, when it comes to movement. So, yeah, definitely quite a bit of pressure being applied over here to the west. And I think that's all thanks to the activity that we've seen around the Fox Islands over the past couple days. Specifically, around the Fox Islands, looking at a little bit of aftershock sequences still occurring in this region of the Aleutian Trench. Looks like most of it here in the 4 range, a couple 3s in there as well. As we back out, of course, we had that 5.1 that just struck. And we did have the 4.9 in the same area yesterday. So kind of watching this area pretty closely as it makes its way towards the northwest. This region right here, still very quiet, except within the last couple hours we did see a 4.4, 81 kilometers here at the northern end of the Japan, well, right around the Japan Trench, Kurokamachaka Trench. Go ahead and spit that out. So you know, this area right here is still kind of a waiting game, waiting to see what's going to happen here. I believe accumulated stress is high enough here to have a decent sized earthquake. I was looking at the specifically around the Japan Trench and areas surrounding it. The accumulated stress here is roughly 3.1 to 3.6 inches a year, which is roughly about the same, if not a little bit more, as areas along the Aleutian Trench up here. Within this region here, it gets pretty high as well. But this one here is the one I was kind of talking about just now, with accumulated stress built up. It's been a while. It's definitely been, 2011 since we had that, well, the big one, the 9-pointer. So things do kind of tack on pretty easily when it comes to the accumulation of stress. Looking at recorded earthquakes here on the Japan Trench over the years, of course, shows that 9.0 back in 2011. I think we all can remember that earthquake, pretty destructive earthquake and subsequent damaging tsunami. Looking at prior to that, we had couple 6s and some 7s over the years. Looks like some 8s and whatnot prior to that. You know, as far as intervals go, as far as like how many years does it take to actually build up stress? Well, it's, you know, I don't think there's any specifically set amount of years. There's not always a set amount of pressure on any trench for that matter. So it could build up fairly rapidly. Or it could take some further time. But all I know is it's been relatively quiet here for quite a while now. And that's like I said, it's a major player in producing some damaging earthquakes and the high stress accumulation here in the subduction zone is it's there, and there's the earthquakes are missing, so we know it's building up for sure within that region. South through the Philippine Trench, what do we got here? 4.8 there off the coast of Japan as well, 58 kilometers there. Also a little bit of activity around the Indonesia area and the Papua New Guinea area with 5.6, 70.5 kilometers. We did see some activity ramp up pretty significantly down there along the Kermadec Trench, and also just on the shy side of the Hikurangi subduction zone, where we've seen that 5.7 strike at 191 kilometers. No further movement in this area, at least according to the USGS. EMSC verifying the same earthquake activity within that region, although the EMSC map showing a little bit more on the way of earthquake activity in the Indonesia Islands area. But other than that, USGS pretty much verifying the same earthquakes there on the map. Up through China area and the Myanmar area, looks like a little bit of movement. A couple fours kicking off there in that region. Also around the Greece area, we've seen a little earthquake out there. 4.1 in the Aegean Sea region. The Atlantic looks pretty quiet out here. North Atlantic, South Atlantic, Mid Atlantic. This little earthquake down here, 4.8 in the South Sandwich Islands, was from way earlier this morning. No renewed movement into that area at the moment. Let's go ahead and check out the west coast of the states. A little bit of activity along the San Andreas Fault here. You can see most recent quake there, 2.4 near the Pinnacles area at 3.5 kilometers, and some activity down south along the just like looks like on the opposite sides here of the San Andreas Fault, this plate boundary. One around the Banning area, a microquake, and up here around the San Bernardino Mountains as well, 1.0. Nothing significant. No major swarms taking place at the moment. We did see a little bit of activity around the Imperial Fault and the Brawley seismic zone here in between them, right smack dab on each end. A little bit of movement earlier, but other than that, nothing significant taking place there in the Southern California region. Eastern crest of the Sierra Nevadas all showing some activity, and up here around the Portola area, looking at a couple small microquakes, somewhat deep, 13 kilometers for a couple of those microquakes. So some movement taking place way down there underneath the Sierras. What else here? A little activity around the Rio Del. Looks like it could be a subduction zone quake at 24.3 kilometers for that 2.4. Let's go ahead and check out the tremor map here in the Cascadia subduction zone, and wow, there we go again. Nothing. Not a whole lot is going on, folks, but it's good to watch these things and kind of keep updated on what's happening here along the Cascadia. There's of course the tremor activity has only been studied in short term. I'd like to see what the tremor activity was like prior to the 1700 megaquake, right? The 9.0 along the Cascadia. I would have liked to seen what it was like months leading up to the big one there in 1700, but we don't have that data. We don't have data doesn't go back too far when it comes to monitoring the tremor. It's kind of a new thing in terms of data monitoring for the tremor activity. So this quiet spell, looking at least through some of the data that we have over the years, definitely comes and goes, right? It's got its moments where it's very quiet and moments where it's pretty active. But we're definitely entering into a well-defined quiet area as we speak. It's been awfully quiet for a while. Occasionally we'll see a little bit of movement, kick up around 100 or 200 epicenters of tremor, but then it completely disappears. So yeah, kind of just a waiting game to see what happens, and no doubt we'll continue to cover that in future updates. Looking back at the USGS map here, not a whole lot of movement on the eastern side of the country. Looks like a little 1.7 That was, looks like that was way last night sometime. 6.5 kilometers for that 1.7. Activity around the Yellowstone area still, this is from earlier, but definitely a few earthquakes there on the map. I was looking at the Yellowstone map here just a little bit ago, and still seeing some microquakes ramping up in the Yellowstone area. Specifically, it looks like right around the Maple Creek area. This is the last 24 hours of earthquake activity. You can see some microquakes on the map, on the graph, I should say. But nothing well defined, nothing super extraordinary. It's just a couple microquakes there. It's a super volcano, nothing significant taking place here at all. Over here around the borehole area, looks like some movement as well. See some of these spikes kicking up. What else we got here, folks, on the map? Not a whole lot. In the Pacific Northwest, things have been very, very quiet up there, for sure. See what else we got. The Big Island. We don't see any red circles here on the map, indicating not a whole lot going on here within the last hour. We are still seeing some movement at the Kilauea volcano. I believe everything is still erupting. I don't know if we've entered into another pause or not, but it's been coming and going, it seems like. Go ahead and check out the latest information from the Hawaiian Volcano Observatory here. Update, latest information, looks like it was put out today, January 12th. Still sitting at a watch and orange level. The summit eruption of the volcano resumed at approximately 6:40 p.m. yesterday. Following a short pause, all lava activity is confined to the crater, and no indications of any migration of the lava. Everything looks pretty much about the same. A flurry of small magnitude earthquakes recorded at the summit during recent events or recent days at the somewhat deeper depths. Here you can see those kilometers. Continues at a reduced level compared to yesterday. A sulfur dioxide emission rate was measured during the pause. Yeah, so it looks all about the same here, folks. Just kind of a continued activity there at Kilauea volcano on the Big Island. No unusual activity has been noted on the Kilauea East Rift Zone. Low rates of ground deformation and seismicity continue along the East Rift Zone. Yeah, so that's that on the volcano. All other volcanoes there, kind of about the same. There's the electronic tilt, if you will, at the Kilauea summit over the past 2 days. You can see, well, inflation, deflation, inflation. It kind of comes and goes whenever it wants there. The past week of the electronic tilt continues to show that, with periods of course, enhanced lava flows and whatnot there at the crater, with the charts there kind of showing that on the map past month. And of course, all shows a kind of shows an uplift there, of course, on the GPS system at the Kilauea summit. What else we got here, folks? Let's go ahead and check out the Earthquakes Canada map real quick. I'm not going to make this a super lengthy video, but there's some activity ramping up. There was that earthquake out there around the eastern part of Canada up there earlier, 3.3. A little bit of movement up here on the northern end around the Prince Rupert area. It looks like, once again, in the purple circle, indicating a 1.9. That happened today around the village of Queen Charlotte, BC area, but not a whole lot of movement along the southern or the northern end of the Cascadia. Things look pretty quiet there on the Earthquakes Canada map, as noted, of course, by the USGS as well. Pretty absent of earthquake activity. So yeah, definitely kind of keep an eye on things here, folks. Let's see if we got any new movement here on the sun with the solar weather ramping up. Looks like they've added a G1 class storm here on the 15th due to the coronal hole. We talked about this last night. This feature on the sun is the coronal hole kind of facing us here, which will be providing us with some solar wind, which will probably spark auroras at the higher latitudes. Let's see what they're forecasting on the 3-day geomagnetic forecast. 65% chance as it stands right now for higher latitudes, and 30% chance at the mid latitudes. Next couple nights pretty quiet, but the 15th there looks pretty kicking. And here's a little info on it. Solar wind stream flowing from this zone, which is coronal hole 44, is expected to reach Earth this weekend. A minor G1 geomagnetic storm watch will be in effect beginning late on January 15th and into the 16th. Visible aurora will be likely at higher latitudes, so kind of cool. There's the limb eruption. That's pretty neat. Kind of making a pretty cool looking feature there on the sun. Sunspot activity is it's okay, I guess. It's not really significant. Not really looking at too much potential for any major flares. Just a few sunspots crackling there on the sun at the Earth side. Looking at 50% chance of C flare with only a 5% chance of an M flare from the current sunspots facing the Earth. All right, guys, let's see. Have a good night. I hope everyone stays safe out there. I am definitely feeling a lot better. Getting there at least, trying to. Man, everyone in the family sick, and it's just not good. Comes and goes. It's right now. It's kind of feels more like a cold. Got better for a little while, and then just seemed like some cold stuff started happening, like runny nose and sneezing, and getting a little bit of congestion now. So, oh well, we'll get over it. There's some activity there on the Petrolia station, of course. Still watching some movement there on that localized station there in Northern California. They still haven't added any microquakes there from days past with all that movement that we've seen there on this station. But it is what it is. You know, these guys are the ones putting out the data. Kind of just have to go with the flow for now, but definitely be observant and be prepared. Have a good night, folks. Stay safe out there, and we will chat at you guys a little bit later. Make sure you subscribe while you're here, please. Get notified too by clicking that notification bell. And we're on our way close to 70,000 subscribers. Don't forget, we're doing another contest at 75,000, giving away some prizes, pretty cool prizes to 6 people at 75K. We'll go into more details about the prizes pretty soon. And of course, 100,000 subscribers. I don't think we'll hit that this year. You never know. But that's going to be a pretty big giveaway with some gifts going out to about 10 people. And we'll have a drawing and whatnot with these two contests coming up. So, but we will mention that more in a later video as we get closer to 75K. All right, guys, have a good night. Stay safe out there and be prepared.